Asuka might be retiring. This episode of Raw was pretty all over the place, so let's get into it. So the show kicked off with a promo from the Vision. They were interrupted by the Street Profits, no surprise, and then Logan Paul was interrupted by Joe Hendry, who started singing Paul, Paul, can we fire Logan Paul? You know, the greatest song of all time. And that segued us right into the first match of the night, the Vision versus the Street Profits and Joe Hendry. Seth Rollins came out and interfered, attacking Braun Breaker. And for some reason, they had to make Austin Theory take the pin from Angelo Dawkins, I believe it was. Don't know why they couldn't have just had, Logan take the pin, considering pins don't even really affect him. And then Seth and Montez were arguing after the match because Dawkins got speared. But I don't think Montez saw that. And we are building quite the interesting dynamic between the Street Profits and Seth Rollins, specifically Montez Ford and Seth Rollins. I really love this Joe Hendry and Vision feud, specifically with Logan Paul. It's really entertaining, and Logan Paul has been really funny, I'm not gonna lie, and so is Joe Hendry. I think it was smart to give the Street Profits a win in their first match back. I just wish it wasn't at the expense of Austin Theory, because believe it or not, I still do want him to succeed. We had a backstage segment between Io Sky and Asuka, and I was like, oh my god, she's not retired, woo, let's go. And then she just started hugging Io and said, like, most of it was in Japanese, so I don't know what they really said, but basically said she passed the torch to her, and like, good luck. And then she walked out the door with a suitcase. So I don't know if she's retiring or not. Michael Cole said they'll give an update on Asuka's status later in the night, and they literally just didn't, at least not that I saw or heard. I really don't know what's happening here, but I hope Asuka isn't retiring. But again, if she does, it's been one hell of a career. Next, we had a match between Javon Evans and Rusev. Not much to report back on here, except for the fact that it was an incredible match. We also got a confirmed match between Ethan Page and Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at Saturday Night's Main Event. And also, forgot to mention this earlier, the Vision versus the Street Profits for the WWE World Tag Team Championships at Saturday Night's Main Event. This match was amazing. The hot take for this one is, I'm telling y'all, Javon Evans reminds me of a young Jeff Hardy, but more athletic. I'd much rather the IC title picture just be revolved around Javon, Penta, and Ethan, because I know the three of them would have some bangers, and I agree with everything that was said here. Javon Evans is going to run this division, and I'm gonna love it. Next, we had another 5-star match, a 5-star classic, if you will, between Io Sky and Sol Ruka. I mean, this is a dream match. This is a WrestleMania, dare I say, main event match. And this was just a little tease, a little taste of what the future match between these two could look like. And I loved every second of it. These two are phenomenal in the ring together, and they had good chemistry, great chemistry, I'd even say. Lots of really cool counters, and a very creative ending with Sol Ruka going for the Soul Snatcher, landing on her ass, and then Io turning it into a crucifix pinning combination. I mean, who's coming up with these finishes? But I don't know, but they are doing a damn good job. I loved the finish of this match. I really hope they run this back on a big stage in the future, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and give it, you know what, maybe not at either of those, because it's going to be jam-packed with ads, and they're probably going to get 7 minutes. So maybe run it back at a B tier PLE, and give them like 20 minutes, and let them put on one of the greatest women's matches of all time. Io, just absolutely insane, putting on a 5-star classic legendary match with Asuka, and then 2 days later doing the same thing with Sol Ruka. This was just amazing for everybody involved, and it's not like Sol Ruka took a loss to nobody. It's Io Sky. The hot take for this one is talking about just that. Oh, they are jobbing out so already great. What do you mean jobbing out, dude? She had a match with the Women's World Champion. Her first Raw match was against Liv Morgan, the current Women's World Champion at that time. They're already putting her into a feud with Becky Lynch, which she is very likely going to win and end up winning the Women's Intercontinental Championship, at least I think. And she took a loss to Io Sky and looked incredible in the process. She is not getting jobbed out by any means. The only jobber part about her is her theme song, which isn't her fault, but this was incredible. Definitely not jobbing out Sol Ruca, at least in my opinion. And next we had a promo between Brie Bella and Paige, going up against kind of the Judgment Day girls and Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, ending in a brawl and giving us a match between these two sets of ladies next week on Raw for the women's tag team titles. And I think there is a chance that the Judgment Day actually does win this, because if they had to wait to the very last second to see if Nikki Bella was going to be medically cleared or not, and she just barely wasn't, she must have been very close to being healed, and that was like 3 weeks ago, so I'm assuming she's got to be healed by now. If it was that close, there's no way she's not, so I think there's a chance they lose them here, and maybe the Bellas turn on Paige or something. And this was also a phenomenal promo from all four of these ladies. Overall, great segment. We had the Obafemi. Next, we had the Obafemi Open Challenge, and nobody was brave enough to answer. So Obafemi went backstage and took it upon himself to bring Los Garzas out to the ring himself. This was awesome. I loved this. He just destroyed both of them 2-on-1. And I even predicted this on my live stream, which I will be streaming Raw next week, by the way. Just letting you know, shameless plug, shameless promo. He just went back and forth, hitting nasty uppercuts after nasty uppercuts to both of these guys. Hit the fall from grace on Berto and won. I loved this. It was creative. And Obafemi obviously still looking like an awesome absolute monster. The hot take for this one is, it's becoming true every week. Laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji. He's pretending to be Sterling Golden now, with a picture of Oba Hogan. First of all, you better pray to God Hulk Hogan doesn't see this. That would not work for him, brother. He would hate this. But, what do you mean? How is he Oba Hogan? Because he's squashing jobbers? He's like Hulk Hogan? And because he's gonna run WWE for the next 20 years, 15, 20 years, and they have to take out a couple people in the process, he's being Oba Hogan? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. This is honestly kind of just a brain dead take, at least in my opinion. And the main event match was between the original El Grande Americano going up against Dirty Daddy Dominic Mysterio for the AAA Mega Campeonato. This was incredible. I liked the shenanigans. It was fun. And another very creative ending where, like, El Grande, the OG El Grande, was trying to rip the other El Grande's mask off and was, like, hanging between the top and middle rope. Dom hit the 619 and the frog splash and won and retained, which is definitely the right decision. Another very creative ending, which I absolutely loved. We need more creative endings like this every week on Raw. The hot take for this one is, this kind of, quote, this kind of shit is making me lose interest in the Americanos feud in AAA. It's confusing not having continuity. Continuity. There we go. Stroke is over. Pause. But I'm assuming you mean because the babyface and heel roles are completely flipped on their ass, upside down, from AAA to the main roster. On the main roster, OG is the babyface, El Grande is the heel, and in AAA, El Grande is 98 Steve Austin, and OG is, 20, Roman Reigns, back when he was hated after WrestleMania. But the advice I would give to you is just ignore it. Basically anything that happens with this feud on the main roster, just ignore it, because like I said, the roles are just completely reversed, and it's not over with the main roster crowd. So basically just pay attention to AAA would be my solution, in my opinion. And then the main event segment, Roman Reigns acknowledgement ceremony. Jacob Fatu arrived basically immediately after Roman Reigns said, "Knoxville, Tennessee, acknowledge me." And he headbutted Jey Uso and just like brutally attacked him, kept headbutting him and punching him backstage before he came out, then took out Big Jim as soon as he got out there. And I think this was Jacob Fatu's like actual real official heel turn. He was very heelish in this. Came out, immediately started brawling with Roman, and this brawl was absolutely incredible. And coincidence, there was no security for like a good 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. I don't know. Do not say 6, 7 in the comments. Roman got powerbombed through the table by Jacob Fatu. Jacob looked like an absolute monster in this and ended up getting the upper hand on Roman Reigns for the fourth time. 2 times in the build-up to their Backlash match. 1 time at Backlash after the match. And now the Raw after Backlash. And he ended up hitting an ass splash through the barricade. It's a running hip attack, but I call it an ass splash. Me and my girlfriend came up with that. He hit an ass splash to Roman Reigns through the barricade. And it was the Roman Reigns and the Usos who took the brunt of the force, or took all of the force, whatever, you get what I mean. This made Jacob look like an absolute monster beast. And kind of back to the heel turn thing I was talking about, I think this was Jacob's full-on heel turn, taking out Jay for no reason, taking out Jimmy for no reason. They were just trying to talk to him, and then attacking Roman even after the security separated them. Very heelish traits here from Jacob Fatu, and I think this was a heel turn, and I like that for Jacob Fatu, and I think it was much needed. Well, maybe not, but I'm very excited for heel Jacob Fatu. And it's looking like we're getting a rematch of this match between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu for the World Heavyweight Championship at Clash in Italy, which I can't wait for. That match in front of an international crowd is going to be absolutely incredible, and insane atmosphere. And an insane atmosphere. The hot take for this one is, that's cool, quote, "that's cool, but it means absolutely nothing if he doesn't win the title after this." Can't agree with this whatsoever. Jacob has looked like an absolute monster this entire feud. Like I said, standing tall over Roman Reigns 4 times, 4 weeks in a row. Almost nobody can say that they've done that. That is insane. And even if Jacob comes out of this with a clean loss, I think it will still have severely helped Jacob Fatu. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this episode of Raw. I give it like an 8 out of 10. This was pretty good in my opinion. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your rating out of 10 in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and